Let us
session.
take this opportunity of introducing you formally to the participants of this course.
Okay, ma'am. I thought okay, I will be doing it. Thank you. Sorry, ma'am. Let's start.
Very nice, sir. We are extremely sorry, and
I thought we are
it is
running out of time,
our
so I should start.
responsibility. Yeah.
Yeah.
For today's afternoon session, let us welcome a very learned, a very kind-hearted professor in the field of management from Jamia Hamdard, Delhi. He is a very dedicated and passionate towards the open learning as well as being updated on all aspects of the life, not only the his own field but everywhere. And Professor Ethiram Raza Khanji, he is with more than almost decades of experience in the field of teaching, research, as well as administration, and contributor in the field of research in the form of research articles and papers and the books as well. We welcome you, sir. It's indeed a pleasure for all of us. And today he will be discussing on a very important topic that we all are the part of it, and which is becoming more or less a way of life in the teaching ahead as well. That is on MOOC and Moodle, that we are using the use of ICT in the field of teaching and research. So we welcome Professor Khan to the to this FIP-4. On the behalf of all the participants and on the behalf of my department, sir, I extend the heartiest welcome to you, and we thank you for sparing your very valuable time for joining us, for interacting on such a relevant topic with all of us, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Shefali, ma'am. Thank you so much. So, ma'am, I'll be keeping my camera off because of the bandwidth. So I hope it won't be
No
a
problem,
problem.
sir.
And
No,
during question answer session, I'll again switch on the camera.
yeah, right, sir.
Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am. I'm starting.
Thank you, sir.
These dear participants and the dignitaries, I'm indeed very delighted to be back again taking a session. This is a very relevant topic, as Shifali ma'am said, because right now, during COVID times, during Corona times, it has become essential for us to go for teaching, which goes beyond offline classes. We now are looking for online classes, not only the classes. Now we are basically talking about online classes along with examinations. So that's the part where we are still struggling a bit. And even CBSC has postponed the exams because of this. And now they're coming back to the offline mode only. So this is a part where if we master this part, I'm sure if another problem breaks out in future, I think this learning paradigm that we are going to talk today will be a big help. And since there is a second strain of corona, so I think there might be disruptions again. So it makes us even, it compels us to look beyond and go for something which gives us a difference. So today I'll be dealing with this topic, MOOCs. So I have given in a chat box, chat window, I have given you a question. You will be having the full form. You'll be writing, needing to note the full form of MOOCs. So MOOCs is massive open online courses. Now, if before starting it, I will just take the name of four or five brands. And once you hear the names, you'll understand, yes, we have already seen these advertisements on the internet. We have seen these ads on the magazines, on the books, on the websites. We have seen the names. So, how many of us know about Coursera, Udacity, Swam? So, all these names, they are just coming up because these are MOOCs example. These are the MOOCs, they have implemented MOOCs in their vicinity. So that's where we are going to start this. I'll be keeping this very simple. I know there are people from different streams. Technicality would be the last thing on my mind. Being a technical person, I can go into the technical details, but I'll try to keep it simple. I'll try to keep it very, let's say, to a very middle level so that everyone understands. And towards the end of the session, I'll take you how we can design our own MOOCs, how we can design our own learning module, how we can develop our own LMS. So this is the another question that I have put up. LMS is learning management system. So how we can develop our own learning management system, learning managing soft management software, how we can do it. Now the question is, and since we have been talking on Unnat Bharat, we have been talking about Atmanirbhar Bharat. Now we are talking about developing India in a different direction, and that direction will come if we take the help of technology. And this technological help that we will be talking today for next 1 hour, 1.5 hours, we'll be discussing MOOCs. So as I have already given the full form of MOOCs, massive open online courses. Now the courses are available, as I said, they are like ice creams. They are different flavors of ice creams. You go to ice cream parlor, you ask for vanilla ice cream, you ask for strawberry, you ask for butterscotch, and whichever flavor. So on a similar pattern, these courses are like this. Different platforms are there. They are offering different courses. Now you need not to perform, undergo the entire degree of 4 years. You want to learn for 15 days, you want to learn some module, you learn it, give the exam, and you get the certificate. Now this is the importance of it. And if we also talk about NEP, new education policy, it talks about MOOCs. It gives MOOCs a lot of importance because there it is given, like if you are not satisfied with the course, after 6 months you can take the exam and quit the course with a certificate. So that's where we are heading, and this is the future. And this is not only the future for India, this is a future for the world. The world adopted much before that, but since corona, India has been looking for it. The only bottleneck that we have right now is the bandwidth, the connectivity. And if we minus geo from our systems, I think we are just helpless at times. So if we increase this broadband connectivity, if we take it to ISDN and all, I'm sure we can go for a revolution in education. And that revolution would be like total different education from the kind of education we used to have, 3 year, 4 year courses. We can have small courses, we can have skill courses, as we are talking about Skill India. So we can move in different directions. So let me take the presentation outline is like this. First, I'll be talking about evolution. First, kaise aaya, how did the MOOCs come about, how it started, then the types and architecture of MOOCs. So I'll be talking about three types of MOOCs. The three types of MOOCs, X, C, and hybrid, and we'll be talking more on that. We'll be understanding what is the basic theory behind these types of MOOCs. I'll be giving you the architecture. This architecture would be the architecture that will define this session today, because throughout the slides that I have, 30, 35 slides I have, they are basically talking about the architecture of MOOCs, how MOOCs perform, how MOOCs work, and different paradigms, methodologies involved. Then we'll be talking about developing and running it, how we can develop it on our own, how can I develop it on my machine, how can I develop for my college, how can I develop it for my university. So we are into the phase of it. At Jamia Hamdard, we have been developing it, LMS, and it's just about to complete with the learning modules also. Then I'll be talking about SWAM platform, which is our Indian platform, our own, which you call Hamara. So it is our platform, SWAM. You must have seen the posters in your campuses. You must have seen the posters on the internet. We are talking about SWAM platform, which is our own MOOC platform, where UGC and AICT have come up with different courses which the students can take up. And now they even have given the privilege, like they have even given the permission, like the students, if they have the final year project, they can clear two papers from SWAM, and that two papers, those two papers can be replacement for the final project also, and the student can get clear a pass degree. So for the final year papers also it stands. So this is the kind of initiatives that the new education policy and the ministry is trying to take. And finally, we'll be discussing on MOOCs statistics, like how MOOCs has evolved, where Coursera, how is Coursera doing, how is Udacity doing, and how is SWAM doing. So we'll be discussing. And finally, it would be the question answer session, which I'll keep up, and you'll be asking me the questions and I'll be answering. So let me make it slightly simple. Let me take it uh, let me take you to a level where you understand that you know about this. So, technology in education, how we have used technology in education so far. Look at the left hand side. If we talk about distance education, so distance education, I think everybody is familiar. IGNU has been one of the forerunners. Then Sikkim Manipal has been into distance education, and they have been successful. So how is that education going on? There is postal delivery of the material, electronic storage and delivery, online courses, web-based storage and delivery. So those who have been to IGNU, those who have studied at IGNU or Sikkim Manipal must be knowing how distance education, even distance education is with your university, in my university also, we have the provision of distance education. Those who cannot come to the campus, they're working part-time and they want to still study. So there is on the left-hand side, one kind of a study which has been prevalent so far before COVID, before Corona. I think distance education, IGNU has been very popular for the last, let's say, 15 to 20 years. It's been very popular. Now, if we look at the middle of the screen, this is how the education has moved along with technology. 1439, it was a moving printing press. The moving printing press kept on moving. It was like going from village to village, from city to city. It was like your vans, your bus, or a truck kind of a thing, and they were propagating knowledge. They were spreading knowledge according to the scenario. So that was in 1439. It started. I mean, 1920 started with radio communication. If you understand radios, there were big, big radios with our forefathers, with our grandfathers and their grandfathers. We incidentally had one radio which used to take 2 minutes or 3 minutes to warm up because there were diodes inside. So then the education started to be imparted on radio in 1920s. Then television came up, 1950s, black and white televisions. Then after that, color televisions came up. And I still remember in my childhood, when in 80s, I'm taking the example of 80, I'm 74 born. So in 80s, I used to see UGC programs on Doordarshan. And in the afternoon, we just used to sit with our elders and they were watching the courses, but we were as kids just following what's happening. So somewhere Newton's law of motion, somewhere it was biological terms, somewhere it was about tigers and about everything was being taught there. So education started to be imparted, it started to get spread through the use of televisions also. So television again had a very important role in those. The courses were developed by the top professors at that period of time. Top professors were developing the courses, and then they were taking the lectures on the television. The 1960s started the revolution. You had mainframes. We started to have computers now, and computers has changed everything. So if we are talking about today about ICT, as ma'am also talked about ICT, information and communication technology, it has changed everything. So this is one of the definitions, full forms I asked you. This was the last one, I suppose. Moodle is just to come. So I've talked about Moocs, I've talked about ICT, I have talked about LMS so far. So I'll need the full forms from you towards the end of the course. I can ask any arbitrary, I can pick up anyone from the screen and ask the full form. So now 1960s started with computers, and computers then started to roll on and we got everything. Then 1982 again added a very important paradigm, very important component. It was removable storage. So floppy drives and floppy disks, they came into the market. And in 1990s, it was PCs and laptops. Apart from mainframes and the mini computers, now we started to have microcomputers. So 1990 saw the biggest technological advances in computers. There we started having PCs, personal computers, laptops, and that's where everything changed. And in late 90s, 1990s, there came Windows, and Windows changed everything. Before that, I tell you, when I started programming, when I started using computer, it was all black and white. Just black and white computers were there, and we used to type commands. We used to get output on the screen. We can see the results on the screen, but without any graphics, without any color, without anything. It was plain, just as if we are writing with a black pen on a sheet of paper. So then the technological advances moved the education, and it started to help education in a bigger way. Now came Windows, then it was Yahoo, which picked up the market all of a sudden. Yahoo was the your what's your browser. So the browsers that you have now, plenty of browsers now, web browsers there. Yahoo was there, then Chrome and all we are using, Mosaic we are using. So then came education took a big leap. It took a giant leap in 1990, and 2000 it was internet that changed it. Now if I'm sitting in India, I can take the advice from American professor. I can take up the session from anywhere. Right now you're sitting in Sonipat, I'm sitting in Ghaziabad, so we can still have that interaction. We can see each other, we can talk to each other, and we can spread the knowledge. You learn from me, I'm learning from you. So that's the kind of interaction that is now happening with the advent of internet. So internet changed everything. Apart from internet, 2008 2010, social media changed everything. So this is again technological advance in education. Social media now is at every corner of your home. Even the small kid, 2 or 3 year kid that you have, or even a 1 year or 2 year kid is sitting, he can now play the games. He's constantly onto the mobile with two thumbs. He's using it, and everyone is using that. Even a rickshaw puller, if you see, he will have a big phone. He is using internet. Everyone is using social media. Everyone is on the internet. Every day you get a request from some domain, from someone whom you never even thought you will get a friend request from, but you're getting it from everywhere. Now we are even connecting to our old friends, our childhood friends. We were unable to meet over the last 30, 40 years. We are not meeting them, but now all of a sudden social media changed everything. And that same spread of social media has been with education. Now we have every facility in the world. Now just ask those people who didn't have the books in 1950s. They didn't have the books to study. We saw films in which it was shown that the student is sitting under a lamppost and he's reading a book. He's studying. Now is a time when we have so many resources. Like, I want to study from the book, or I want to study from the internet, or I want to study from my mobile. I can study from anywhere now. So even needless to say, now even in a car, if I'm traveling, I can take my sessions. So that's the beauty of internet technology. That's the beauty of education. That education is now moving forward and moving in a very positive direction. Then came the last one of it. Virtual reality has been something which is we all are familiar with. That virtual reality has added a new dimension to education. If you look at the right hand side, classroom education, we all know we have been going through classes. There's one teacher, there's a linear delivery, there can be a non-linear delivery, it can be a blended flipped classroom. We'll be talking more on blended and flipped classroom. This is a very latest word that has come up, flipped classroom, and I'm sure the teachers sitting here would be somewhere comfortable with this word, flipped. Flipped is like saving your time for education. You're given the notes to study at home. The theory is being studied by the student at home. Just understand the beauty of this, the importance of this. So the student is given the material, he's studying this material at home, but when he comes to the classroom, when he is there online on the classroom or in the offline mode, if he is coming to the class, he is solving the real case problems. So no longer theory in class, but practical problems being solved in the class. This is also termed as flipped education, flipped classroom. So then we have the concept of virtual classes and virtual labs. So this is how this slide has been important to highlight how we have moved over the years from 1500 to 2021 that we are in with Corona. I think India wouldn't have adapted as quickly as they have done in last 1 year. Corona made us to do it. It was a compulsion, but we have come out strongly with it. Only the exam part is there, which we'll have to master now. And once we are able to master even the examination part, objective questions everyone is attempting through Google forms and all. But let's be very realistic. Our examinations are subjective. So if we are able to design a platform where we can test a student or our participants in subjective manner also, that would be the real nail in the coffin. There we'll say we have achieved the total success in this education. So let me again make it simple. Moocs Evolution, it is started with, you can see two names there, Stephen Dovens and George Simon. They started this, they brought this concept. They had one session, internet networked learning. They had a research project, network learning. They started with it. So if the name is Stephen Dovens is always associated with MOOCs, the starting up of MOOCs, the evolution of MOOCs. Let me take you to the history of MOOCs. This is important. So as I said, it started with network learning by Stephen Dovens and John Siemens. There was a course on connectivism and connective knowledge. And David Cormier was also there. He first used the term MOOC. Again, I say, when you say MOOCs, massive open online courses. 2011, Professor Sebastian and Professor Andrew, they decided to open their popular courses to the world. They started with the course. Then 2012, if you see, was a landmark year in MOOCs education. All the names that you're looking on the screen, EDX, Coursera, Udacity, FutureLearn, iVersity, they emerged as MOOCs platform. You have heard about them. You have heard about the names, what they are doing, how they are imparting education. Today we'll be looking how they work. What is the architecture behind their functioning? How are they performing? And how are they able to attract millions of students in one course? How are they able to attract thousands of students in one course? Right now, we are comfortable with 60 students in a class. I'm happy. Here I'm taking a class of 60. It's a big class. I have to satisfy everyone. Fine. Now the trend has come, like even three sections can be merged together, and my HOD can tell me, go and take a combined class, and I can easily sit on my system. They can be connected to my system, just as we are interacting today. I can take a session now. 180 doesn't matter, 360 doesn't matter now. The numbers are no longer a problem now. As long as I have a connectivity, I can connect to them. So that is the beauty of MOOCs. Then 2012 was termed as the year of the MOOCs. And 2019 and 2020, if we look at that, Corona, there was a slight setback, but we picked up. There have been 900 universities now, 11,400 courses, 101 million MOOCs learners are now enrolled in different universities. Just think about the intensity of this 101 million MOOCs learners. So that means MOOCs is a hit now. MOOCs has been a very big hit because, as I said, it's like a going to an ice cream parlor, ordering for strawberry. Now here you go and you ask for a course in machine learning. You want to understand machine learning. You just take a 15-day course and then take up the exam, get the certificate, and show it to your employer. The employer is very happy. Okay, done. Your HOD is happy. Yes, you have done something credible. So that is where MOOCs is moving. So when we started, I said I'll be talking about how it evolved, then types of MOOCs. Now, there are three types of MOOCs basically, and I'll be passing on the slides to Pavan sir also, to Shifali ma'am also. You can keep these notes. These notes are very important because you hardly get them on the internet. So keep them as your reference because these will be required. And towards the end, I'll introduce you something called Moodle. And that Moodle is one of the learning softwares, learning management system, which is getting familiar, which is getting popular. And we are now trying to develop our own Moodle courses. So that's where I'll give you the insight towards the end of the session. So again, coming to the types of MOOCs, there are three types of MOOCs. First one is CMOOCs. C stands here for connectivist MOOCs. So the earlier part of MOOCs, when MOOCs started, it was CMOOCs, connectivist MOOCs. You look at the second point on the screen, these types of MOOCs, these type of MOOCs, when they came up, CMOOCs, they were unstructured. They were good for knowledge exploration. Participants can take a dual role as a teacher and a learner. There were only participants. There was no instructor here. It was a connectivist MOOC, like you can connect to different people together. You can have a group and sit and have a group study. There was no leader there, there was no teacher there. And then you were able to, since you were connected, and now this connection, I said, the basic challenge behind here is one of my participant is from India, one of the participant is from Nigeria, one participant is from Ethiopia, one participant is from Russia, one is from China. So it's spread all over the world. So now comes the kind of a challenge with us. So participants can be anyone. It is unstructured session. Allows you to talk
Sir, I think there is a network disturbance. We are not able to hear you.